Hey everybody, today I'm talking about Letter Jam. Now Letter Jam is a cooperative deduction word game for 2 to 6 players, takes about 45 minutes to play. It's by Czech Games Edition, who I tend to enjoy their games. This one did kind of have a bit of a good release, or a good kind of reception in 2019, and it made my top 10 of the year. So spoiler alert, I do really enjoy the game. So the idea of this game is that you well, let's talk about how the game works. So you start with a bunch of letters, and you're trying to make a letter or a word out of those letters for your kind of teammate on your left or your right, and you are basically, you can cater the difficulty of the game by maybe lengthening the word. So if the game recommends you start at a 5-letter word, and then if you want to increase the difficulty, you can go to a 6 or a 7, which does make it quite significantly more difficult. And then you are going to jumble up those letters and then put them face up in front of your next person or next player to your left or right. And then they're going to choose the word furthest to the left and put it in this little holder facing away from them so that everybody else can see their letter apart from the player themselves. And everybody's going to do that. And then the flow of the game is that each player is going to try and give a clue or a word that uses everybody else's letters in order to make them deduce what their letter is. So it has that really cool kind of word, that word crafting element to it. You have neutral letters as well, and you can even use a wild in the middle of the table, which I would recommend as a last resort because it can make the words a lot more difficult to guess for the other players. So the cleverness of the game is just how you use each other letters, trying to make the longest words possible so that you can really narrow down what these letters can be. And there's very little margin for error in this game. You really do need to be giving really good clues in order to help your teammates, because that time ticker goes down really quickly because you only have X amount of guesses before the game ends, and everybody needs to know their words in order to get a really good score in this. But that being said, this game really isn't about the scoring. It really is kind of more of an activity than a game. I think it just has that nice chilled teamwork flow to it, and it just doesn't feel like a competitive game. It just feels like a nice task that everyone's trying to find their own words. So yeah, I love the clue giving on it. The way you give these clues out is by using these really nice poker chips with different fruit on them and numbers on, and then you are basically silently placing them out in these, in the order of the word that you're forming, so that everybody knows what that word is. I love how you can help loads of different people at the same time, but maybe some are more efficiently or more productively than others. The start of the game is interesting as well because everybody's trying to kind of share what they know and try and kind of pledge their kind of case in whose word is going to be the best. So you can give clues to your opponent saying that, I know a 7-letter word that uses 3 players' letters. It uses 2 neutral letters and and a wild, for example. And then someone might say, I've got a 5-letter word, but it uses 4 players and a neutral. So you need to weigh up about who's going to get what out of what decision. You can't be too precise into sharing what you know, but you can be informative enough to really make an informed decision. It's just a really great little a great little cooperative game that has a completely different touch or a different feel to it than most cooperative games. Because normally it's normally like almost a kind of game where you can, like an alpha gamer style game where you can, really enforce your will on other players if you're a particularly more experienced player, and make people do what you really want to do because there's no really consequence not to. But in this one, everybody needs to pull their own weight, and you can't get away with just going off other people's clues because you need to help them give their letters as well. And that being said as well, you are rewarded if each players give an equal amount of clues because you can unlock more clues to give. So yeah, this is a really nice, nicely weighted game, a nice game that you can really understand or help people understand. I think there are a couple of little things that are maybe shoehorned in there that don't need to be in there, but because it's cooperative, you can really just hold people's hands through the game and just go one thing at a time, and you just need one person who really knows what they're doing. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than it needs to be. I think it's very, I think the core mechanics of the game is where this game sings, and it's just what it's all about. The balance of the game is great because you can cater to different players at the same time. For example, you can play with maybe a young child and give them like a 4-letter word, but give someone else like an 8-letter word. So it's really cool how you can just completely tailor the game to your group's needs. The flow of the game is really nice once you get your head about how the game works. It does tick along really nicely. Uptime is really good as well because you're pretty much always involved in the decisions made. Sometimes there are clues given that you aren't included yourself and you just have to kind of sit back and, wait for your time. But those are quite few and far between. You're normally always involved, always thinking about words you can give and trying to deduce what your letters are. Replayability wise is great. I think this has that real kind of timeless feel to it. It almost kind of has that kind of like a Scrabble feel, but it drags it into this game or this day in board gaming, where the luck factor is a lot less. It really is just the crux of a word game, but put into a new kind of a new suit in terms of being a cooperative and having that deduction element as well. Interaction, great, obviously, because you're trying to work together, trying to help each other at all times. There's no incentive for trying to help yourself and nobody else. So it's nice that you are forced to work together in this one. Aesthetically, very plain, very basic. Obviously, it's just a letter on cards, but the artwork on the tiles is really good. The components are really good because the poker chips are great. The stands are functional, and you get lots of letters in there as well. So yeah, really nice. And there's also going to be an app integration as well, which helps you form words at the beginning of the game to get you started. Theme-wise, it's very abstract. There's no theme on it at all, but it's a word game. That's all that matters. And setup and teardown time as well is part of the fun because you're trying to form the words for your teammates. So yeah, overall, I think this is a fantastic little game. It's got a great family weight appeal, and it has almost a party-esque feel to it, but it's a little bit longer than that. Maybe if I had to compare it to its kind of weight, I'd say something a bit more like Decrypto, but maybe a tad more accessible, because I think the familiarity of the game is going to become a lot more, or it's going to happen a lot quicker than a game like Decrypto. It's great. It's just you can play this with pretty much anybody. You can teach this to anybody. I love the idea of making words and just helping your opponents or your teammates. It's just an excellent game, and I really would recommend it. And I can see why it's been such a big hit. And I think it's going to be talked about in quite some time to come, because it is just so pure, so much fun. The deduction is great. If you don't like word games, you're probably not going to, you're not going to enjoy it. But if you do, then this is going to be really enjoyable for you. If you like games like Codenames, games like Decrypto, and stuff like that, definitely check this one out because you're going to really enjoy it. That is Letter Jam by CGE, a really good game, and I really do look forward to playing it time and time again. So that's Letter Jam. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please hit like and subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.